25 today. So I need all eyes on page 115, please. And we are going to, yesterday we worked on adding mixed numbers. Today we're going to start working on subtracting mixed numbers. Okay? So you guys know regular old subtraction. You can take numbers and you just put one over the other. And you can do the math. 4 minus 2, 2, 5 minus 3, 2. If I had to borrow, okay, you guys know how to do that. You borrow one from over here, makes it 14, and drops you down. So 14 minus 5, come on. 4 minus 3, 1. Good. So borrowing. So in fractions, it's going to work very similarly for mixed numbers. Okay? We're going to have to start practicing borrowing. Same way we did here, it's going to look a little bit different. Okay? So it brings us to our first example. 4 1/2 minus 1 1/8. Okay? So if we start the same way we do with adding numbers, Destiny, what are we going to have to start with here? What's the key when we've got fractions and we're trying to make them go together for adding and subtracting? Like denominator, common denominator. So what do you want to make the denominators into? 8. Okay, so if we're going to make them into 8, Damon, what's this denominator? 8. What's the numerator going to be? If I'm turning 1/2 into 1/8, or into 8. 4 8. Good. Subtract 1. That one's easy. We need to make it into 8, so we can just leave it. So now Portia, my whole numbers here. If you do just the whole number math, what do you get? 3. Beautiful. And Jamaica, if you do the fractional math for me, what do you get?
5 over 8. I mean,
3 over 8. Okay. And we have a good-looking fraction here. Mixed number. This one's not improper. So there's our answer. It was 5. Okay. Those ones, pretty simple. All right. So turn the page. We have to get into our borrowing. Our next example, we've got 5 1/10 minus 1 14/15. Okay? So, if we follow Destiny's rule, where we have to get like denominators, Damon, what would you give this a like denominator? What denominator would you pick?
I'm sorry for the interruption. Come here, Jamaica, please.
30? Perfect. I think 30 is a great one. Okay? So, we can drop our whole numbers, right? And then we need to make this into 30ths. So, Destiny, how many 30ths would 1/10 be? 3. Portia, how many 30ths would 14/15 be? I need to know this number here. What number would that be? How many 30ths
15.
is 14 over 15? I need to make this fraction into a fraction with a denominator of 30.
28 over
28 over 30. All right, here's our problem. Can we take 3 and subtract 28? No, can't. We got to do like we did when we were subtracting before. We have to borrow. Okay? So we have to borrow. We're going to borrow from our whole. So this guy has 5 wholes. He can let us borrow a whole. So now instead of 5, that one's easy. We take 1 away, and he becomes a 4. Easy enough, right? Now the thing is, we need to figure out what this 1 is in terms of 30. In terms of a pie that we cut into 30 slices. So how many slices would you have in a pie that you cut into 30 slices? Kind of a silly question, right? How many, Damon? Careful, don't get ahead of me here. How many slices? If I cut a pizza into 30 slices and I say, Don, here's your whole pizza, how many slices are there? 30, exactly, right? So this 1, we're kind of morphing it into 30 over you're morphing it into 30 over 30, and then you're adding it to this guy. So come on, you got ahead of us. What are you going to change 5 and 30 over 30, 3 over 30 into? You're going to add 30. So, please. You're going to add 30. So what's our new? Instead of 5 and 30 over 30, we said our whole number was 4. And what's our new fractional part? 33 over 30. Good. Okay? So again, we have an improper fraction with inside a mixed number, but the only time we're okay with that is when we're trying to figure out the math. So now, can I take 1 and 28 over 30 away from that? Mika, now can I? We had to 3. We can't take 3 and subtract 28. So we had to turn this 3 over 30. We borrowed a 1, like we did in subtraction, from the 5, and changed that 1. We morphed it into 30 over 30, and then we added it back to this guy. So now we borrowed the 1, the 5 became a 4, and we added 30 over 30 to 3 over 30. Does that make sense? No? It's like when we subtracted. Remember how we had to borrow? We made that 4 into a 14 and borrowed from the one ahead of it? That's what we're doing here. You're borrowing 1, so the 5 becomes a 4, and you're adding 1. But in this case, that means 30 over 30 to this guy. Is that helpful?
So we added 30 plus 30.
You're adding 30 over 30 to 3 over 30, which is where we got 33 from. So we took one whole and made it into a fraction, 30 over 30, and then added it to our fraction. So now we can compare 33 over 30 minus 28 over 30. That looks a little more manageable, right, than 3 minus a bigger number. We don't want to do negative fractions. We always want to make sure we have enough so that we can subtract properly, okay? So if we just look at the wholes now, how many wholes do we have left after we do this math? 3, exactly. She did 4 minus 1. And then Damon, how many fractional parts do we have left? You're going to have to borrow. So you're doing 33 minus 28. Can you do that in your head? 5 over what? 30. So 5 over 30 is our fractional part. And then Damon's getting ahead of us. He said we can always need to check, can we reduce? Damon says yes. So 5 over 30 became 1 over, Damon? 6. Perfect. Okay. Any questions on this? You guys want another example like this before we move on? Destiny, another example? Damon, another example? Or Shay, another example? Mika, another example? No? Alright, go to town. You have practice A